Hey, how's it going, ladies and gentlemen? And welcome to another podcast. I apologize that it's been a little long, but been going through things at school. It's been a little bit crazy, but now I am back and I'm ready to talk about another subject. Well, in this case, another movie review. As promised for you guys, a little while ago, I did a review of the very first Frozen, and now I have officially seen Frozen 2. I saw a little while ago, and the movie has been out for a little while, so if you haven't read the title, just letting you guys know right now, I will be spoiling this movie. I may be saying something that could be a spoiler, so if you have not seen Frozen 2, make sure that you go see the movie first, and then you can check out my podcast. Or if you guys aren't really interested in seeing the movie and just want to hear what I think, then by all means, keep on listening. But without further ado, let's get started. Let's talk about Frozen 2. I'm doing this podcast a little bit differently than the first one. I know the first one was a little bit lengthy, but I don't know. I haven't really found a routine pattern of how I do like movie reviews and whatnot. So I'm just gonna kind of take my time and really just address the things that I want to say about the film and so on and so forth. But if there's anything you guys think I should add after watching this, leave a comment down below and I'll see if I can get to that. So Frozen 2. I gotta say, this was a movie that I gotta say, from the very first trailer that I saw of this movie, I was hooked. This was a really well made movie, and I definitely think that it lived up to the hype. From the very first teaser that showed like a little bit of a more darker story with these characters, I was hooked. I mean, with Disney, I like, the happy ending kind of story type stuff that happens with these Disney movies. I can't help it. Like most people, I like seeing that stuff. But I do appreciate a little bit of a darker story. And from what I saw from the first teaser of Frozen 2, I gotta say, I was hooked. I was really curious as to, why Elsa was running through the ocean and trying to freeze the water. Anna was in like a dark cave trying to get out, and Kristoff was all by himself riding Sven with a whole bunch of other mooses behind him. So I was very intrigued, and by God, even before the movie came out, from that first teaser alone, the music was just I can't get that teaser trailer music out of my head. So if you guys haven't like seen the very first teaser for it, go watch it. Stop the podcast and go watch that. It's God, so good. And then I was after when the second trailer came out, I was actually participating in my second Disney college program when the second trailer for the film came out. And around that time, I was working, I was very busy, so I really didn't have time to appreciate much of these new trailers that came out. But I did watch it, and I was still hooked. My roommates thought it was a really good trailer, and even when I watched the final trailer for the film, I was still immensely hooked on it. So I already said to myself, hey, I'm going to go see it. And even after I saw the first movie, I said to myself, you know what, if they make a Frozen 2, I'm most likely going to see it because, one, it's Disney, and I did enjoy the characters and story of the first one. So it was inevitable I was going to go see it. But these trailers just made the hype for that movie much better. And, because here's the thing, and I might have said this before in my other podcasts. When you do a trailer for a movie, sometimes that trailer could be, could be the only great thing about the movie, and then you see the movie, and the movie is just, it's just awful. But sometimes a trailer can be really good that doesn't reveal too much about it, and the movie itself can be fantastic. And this was definitely one of those cases. I was able to make a lot of predictions about what I thought was going to happen in this movie, and the trailers didn't ruin anything. I was able to really kind of think about what they were going to do, make some predictions of my own. And for me, it was perfect all around. So I definitely say, like, this is a movie where you watch the trailer and you see the movie. It's definitely great. But now let's actually get into the film. Enough talking about trailers. Let's talk about the actual film. So Frozen 2. From start to finish, I was amused. I didn't think that there was a dull moment throughout this entire film. And mostly that's because of its story. Let me see. I think that this film takes place maybe a few months after the first one. I don't think they really address it. But the movie opens up and we get to see a flashback to when Anna and Elsa were little kids again, and their father is telling them the story of when their grandfather met with these people who watch over the forest. And the people in this forest, they kind of, get assistance from the different elements of the world, like fire, water, air, and the earth. Honestly, when you watch the film, you're probably going to be thinking of Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's what I immediately thought about this. So then you learn that, the people from Arendelle and the people from this wood village, became really close friends. Then all of a sudden, after they made this dam to help them with like their water, a few seconds later, then the two villages start going at war with one another, and then becomes this whole thing like what happened. And then this enchanted mist blocks off the entrance into the forest itself, so nobody can get in there except for somebody that can answer the call and maybe be able to go through it. And we all know who that is in a minute. So then we cut to the future of what's going on with Anna and Elsa and everybody else. And everything seems to be going on great. Everybody is having a good time. They're all singing. And the opening song for the movie, what was it called? I have it right here on my phone. Yes, I did buy the soundtrack because the soundtrack is amazing. Some Things Never Change. The opening song of this movie was fantastic. As soon as the Disney logo shows up in the film, you're immediately transported back to the world of Arendelle. And even after I rewatched the first one again, I was still really excited to get back in and see what the next adventure was in store for these characters. So Anna's just kind of living her life, nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy, just doing what she does best. Olaf is hanging in there too. Kristoff is trying to propose to Anna and is having a little trouble trying to figure out when the right moment will be. Now we cut to Elsa. Now, the thing is, with this film and the first Frozen film, even though we are treated to such great characters, this is still Elsa's story. The first Frozen was all about Elsa, and this is technically all about Elsa, but there is a little bit more to this one than just making it Elsa's story, but a good majority of it is her own story. Elsa has been hearing this mysterious voice in her head that, it's kind of like a singing voice, and she's tempted to find out what the voice means, but she doesn't want to leave everybody in her life behind to go and search this because, she already had her own adventure with Anna. It was this whole crazy thing, and now she just wants to enjoy life and be queen, but she knows that she has to answer this call and figure out what this voice wants. And after a great singing number by Idina Menzel, Into the Unknown, Elsa awakens this spirit that allows herself to go through the mist itself, but in the process of doing that, she has actually put Arendelle in danger, and I think they never really truly explain it in the film, but you get the idea that when you set foot in Arendelle, the different elements, fire, earth, air, and water, they start coming alive and possibly attacking people. So now nobody can go near Arendelle. So the primary mission is to save Arendelle. So now Anna and Elsa, Kristoff, Sven, and Olaf, they go on this adventure to go through the mystic forest and try and figure out what the hell they can do to try and save Arendelle. And so they do a quick little montage of the journey getting to the forest itself, and then they go through the forest and they discover the different elements at work, trying to, kind of mess with them a little bit, and then they meet the people from the village, and they also meet the soldiers from Arendelle, and it looks like the soldiers and the people that, the villagers that lived in the forest who were trapped by the mist have been in there for so long that I don't think they actually ever aged, because Anna and Elsa find a bodyguard to their father that appears to be the same age he was when he was guarding her father. And it was actually a really cool thing. So everybody has been stuck in this forest for so long that time hasn't passed in that forest, and they are still at war with one another, but we still don't know why the hell they're fighting. So then after some conversations, we learned probably the one thing that I wanted from this movie was that I wanted to know more about why Elsa has these powers, and maybe some more backstory to their parents, because the trailers kind of hinted that we were going to see some more with her parents, and I was actually really curious about that. So now we get the big thing as Kristoff kind of goes on his own to try and find out how to propose to Anna. Anna and Elsa venture more deep into the forest, and they actually find the ship that their parents were on when it, supposedly crashed in the first one and went underwater. So they find it, and Elsa learns that the power of just like water in general can bring back or hold on to memories from the past, and that's how they kind of figure out more things about what happened in the village. And I forgot to mention one point, I'll bring it up after I talk about the ship. As Elsa uses her powers to find out what was going on in the ship, she found out that her mother and father did unfortunately pass, but they were holding on to one another in the ship before, it went down. So now Elsa feels responsible for the death of her parents, and Anna's trying to tell her, no, it's not your fault. They were doing this to help you, but it's not on you. Don't worry about it, yada, yada, yada. And before they even get to the ship, Elsa uses that power again to try and to see more of the past. And we meet this group of children. The boy is Anna and Elsa's father, but the woman seems very familiar that's holding on to him. And it's actually a girl. I think they're probably both teenagers, but it actually is Anna and Elsa's parents. It turns out that Anna and Elsa's father, came from Arendelle, but their mother had lived in the village. And after the fighting broke out, Anna and Elsa's mother saved their father from the eventual fighting. And then that's how they came to be. So I thought that was actually a pretty good twist, but a lot of people saw this coming. And I kind of saw it too, because that was the first thing that people were talking about from the trailers. Like, oh, those two kids are definitely Anna and Elsa's mom. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'll probably go with the masses on that. So then there's that. So then Elsa makes Anna go away by tricking her, and now Anna and Olaf are on their own little trip to try and figure out more about what's going on, while Elsa goes more deep into the forest to try and figure out and get answers to the call and her powers itself. So now Elsa makes it to the scene from the very first trailer where she's at the beach, and she's trying to capture this water horse to take her to this spot, which will eventually lead her to the answers that she's looking for. And she captures the horse, then we get another great singing number called Show Yourself, another great song from the film. And as we get there, Elsa gets some new clothes. She looks fantastic. And then we learn the big twist that honestly I didn't see coming, but I still thought it was pretty good. And the twist is, spoiler alert in case you don't want to know the big twist, it turns out that Anna and Elsa's grandfather, who was the previous king before their father, was the one that betrayed the village people. And they were having some disputes with the elder. Their grandfather and this one elder from the village, they were talking about the dam. And while the village elder went to go and, just kind of like get some water, get some food, Anna and Elsa's grandfather killed the village elder, starting that war, because the dam would eventually, if the dam broke, it could destroy Arendelle, but it also would be making things difficult for the village people. And it wasn't like, oh, Luke, I'm your father moment. We'll get into that later. It wasn't that kind of a big twist, but I'm just like, oh, I didn't see that coming. I'm like, it was, got that little dark element with the killing. And now we know the truth that it was Anna and Elsa's grandfather that was responsible for bringing on this war. And now they learn that the only way to free the people from the village is to break that dam that they had built for them. But the problem is that if the dam breaks, all of that water could destroy Arendelle. So now you got to figure that out. So after Elsa discovers the truth about her grandfather, she's gone too far. She's taken her powers to the limit, and she becomes frozen, literally, like Anna did from the first movie. And when Elsa's powers are at a halt, everything that she has created starts to fade away, and that includes the biggest death of the movie. Yes, I'm not kidding. If you don't want to see, if you don't want to hear it, stop listening. Olaf dies. Olaf dies. I actually almost like predicted that. They actually killed Olaf. I couldn't believe it. It wasn't kind of like they actually did it. I was actually very surprised. But the thing is, so once Elsa gets trapped, um, Anna starts to Olaf starts to notice this happen, and his snow starts to flurry away, and he's got this like emotional speech to Anna telling her to keep on going and whatnot, and Olaf fades away, and they actually give him an ending scene to when he dies, like almost like a burial, kind of. I didn't see it coming, but I was like, holy shit, they went there. They actually went there. Okay. But again, it's a Disney movie. Let's finish what happens with the rest of the story. So Anna goes back and tells the troops of Arendelle what has happened, and Anna learns the truth as well, that it was her grandfather that had done all this, and she convinces the Arendelle soldiers to stand and break the dam itself with these big trolls that were shown off early in the movie. I didn't think to mention them because they really don't do anything until the ending of the movie, but they're these big giant trolls, and Anna and the soldiers of Arendelle lure them to break the dam. And as the dam breaks, Elsa magically comes back to life, and she races down with the water on her water horse, and she's able to freeze the waterfall coming down on Arendelle and save Arendelle and the forest people in the process. A happy ending for everybody. Well, but nope, we're not done yet. So after Arendelle and everything is saved, all the characters reunite. Kristoff proposes to Anna. They decide to get married, and we kind of learn that Elsa doesn't really want to. Well, it's not that she really wants to, it's just that one of the people from the village noticed that Elsa would probably be more happy with her powers if she decided to stay in the forest. And surprisingly, Elsa agrees. And Anna is now queen of Arendelle, while Elsa stays in the village, in the forest, and just decides to live life there. And the characters, they still meet up when they can. At the very ending of the movie, Anna sends Elsa a letter for another game night, and the last shot of the movie is Elsa on the water horse going to Arendelle with the sun setting in the distance. And it was a really, truly great ending. And one with a story like this, I thought to myself, you know what? I don't think we need a Frozen 3. I think this wraps up perfectly. Just like with the films Creed and Creed 2, I think these two films do a great job in telling this story, and I don't think we need to go any further. But yes, that's how it ends. Anna and Kristoff get married. Anna is now the queen of Arendelle, and Elsa is now living happily in the forest village. And that is essentially the story of Frozen 2. Overall, story-wise, I did enjoy it. I loved the twists and turns. I loved how we got to see an expansion of Elsa's powers. We didn't really necessarily learn why she has these powers. Well, more so it's the fact that since her mother comes from the village and, they use these elements, it is possible maybe that's why she has her powers in the first place. But we did get some more mystery on her parents, and I think that was really good too. And, I think the ending was just fantastic. How they kind of go their separate ways, but they're still together. But in the end, it works for each character. I think Anna is more able to be a queen since she has really been there for Arendelle, while Elsa's kind of been behind her door trying to suppress her power. So it makes sense that Anna would become queen of Arendelle. But now with Elsa in this forest, she's free to use her powers and really not be scared of everything that's going on around her. And now she knows that now they know the truth about their parents, about what they were trying to do and everything. So it's just a great big happy ending. So story-wise, I think this was great. I think this was a top-notch story sequel with some fantastic music. And a lot of music numbers, I didn't expect to laugh as hard as I should have, especially with Kristoff's boy band music video that they did. I'm not gonna go into detail about that. You have to see the movie to kind of find out how funny this is. But just a lot of great moments with all these characters. A lot of humor in it too, which was great. Olaf was absolutely hysterical. There's one scene in particular where once the village people and the people of Arendelle meet Anna and Elsa, Olaf does this thing where he literally tells the entire story from the first movie to these people, and everybody's reacting to it. It was absolutely hysterical, and I loved every second of it. But yes, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I think if you really enjoyed the first Frozen, you're gonna enjoy Frozen 2, no matter what. And if you're those, because I know these people are still out there, if you're those that are waiting for the kind of Frozen hype to die and then go see the movie, I mean, nothing too big of spoilers besides, the little things, but it is a Disney movie. I mean, you can wait to watch the movie. But then again, if you kind of waited for the hype to die down and watched the first movie and liked it, then do the same for this. It really doesn't matter, because who knows? This film could be on Disney Plus in a matter of maybe a year or two. But yeah. Overall, really great film and a perfect sequel. I personally think, though, like I said early on, I don't think we need a Frozen 3. I think this film wraps everything perfectly with these characters. The only thing that I think a Frozen 3 can provide would be, possibly really explaining why and how Elsa got these powers. I really feel like that's the only thing. But then again, who knows? Because of how much this movie is already breaking fall records, and I guess Thanksgiving records too. And who knows? A Frozen 3 could happen in the future, or probably even more Frozen shorts, which I'm pretty sure are going to happen. But yeah, I really think that we don't need a third movie. I think just like with Creed and Creed 2, we don't need one. I think this story is perfect the way it is and doesn't need a continuing. But who knows? Anything can happen. But overall, I was very impressed with this movie. I thought it definitely lived up to the hype. I know it's been getting a little bit of some mixed reviews from some people, but from my personal opinion, I think it was a terrific sequel. The characters were great. They did everything that they were supposed to do. The music was phenomenal. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, because I was a little bit worried that the music wouldn't live up to the first one. And the first one still is an instant classic. Nothing can ever beat the first one. But what Frozen 2 does is they take a step up, but they do it in a way where it's new, it's exciting, and you can't wait to see what happens next. Overall, the more that I think about it, I'm going to give Frozen 2, I'm going to give it an A+. I was really surprised with this film. There was never a dull moment in the movie. I was really intrigued with what was going on with the characters. I love the music, and I think it's one of those sequels that they just nail it, Nothing really... They don't lead into another sequel. Everything just kind of wraps up perfectly, and I think this sequel is right up there with other great sequels we had in the past, like The Dark Knight, The Empire Strikes Back, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm going to give Frozen 2 an A+. So what did you guys think of Frozen 2? Have you guys seen it yet? Maybe leave a comment down below if you see it, and tell me what you guys think. Now that I finished talking about Frozen 2, I think it's time to get on to the next big thing that I have for podcast. And for those of you that may or may not know, the final movie in the Skywalker saga, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, is hitting theaters in just a few weeks. And I think it's time for a Star Wars marathon. I think that's the next big thing I'm going to do for this channel. I have a couple other ideas of what I want to do for my podcast, but I think for the big thing, I am going to review every episodic Star Wars film. I'm going to do all the episode ones, so I'm unfortunately not going to include Solo, a Star Wars story, and Rogue One, a Star Wars story. I will review those films at another time. I'm sticking specifically to the episodic films, so episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and then the first two of the sequel trilogy, with the final review being The Rise of Skywalker after I see that. And good God, I've got a lot to say about these films, because for those of you that don't know, Star Wars means a lot to me, but I'm going to get more in depth with that when I do my review. So the next big film review that I do for my podcast is going to be on Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So until then, I will see you guys in the next podcast. If you like this, leave a like down below. Comment, tell me guys what you think, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.